Hi, welcome to the small shed. This week I'm back in the garage prototyping a new bracket for the pegboards out there. I'll see you in a minute. Now, about this time last year I had some metal pegboards given me for Christmas so that I could hang spanners and screwdrivers and things on in the garage, and it's been very successful, so successful that I've used up all the bracketry that I had with it, all the little hangers and things. Now you can buy pegboard prongs, hangers and all sorts of things, but I specifically wanted something this week for some punches that I've bought, so I thought I'd try and solve that problem, and at the same time it would give me a solution to any future sort of things that I needed to hang up in there. It's not a particularly big or difficult build in itself. It's a block of wood with 5 holes in it, but it will hopefully open up the way forward for doing other stuff there. So this is the existing wall at the moment, and as you can see it's pretty much full, and we've got brackets almost all used up, and I've got no space for anything else at the moment. So hopefully back in the shed we can get these punches out and have a look and see if we can solve the problem. And these are essentially tools for use on cars and bikes and things, but I've got nowhere to put them, and I'm trying to keep them in something like that is just not going to work. And throwing them in a drawer just means that they end up getting lost, buried, and you can never find them when you want them. So the ideal thing to do will be to put them on the tool wall, and the downside of that is of course that I've got no more fittings to go onto that tool wall that will carry them, and also I don't quite know how I'm going to do it anyway. If I just drill a hole in a piece of wood, which I can do now with my wonderful new Posh drill. Let's just have a go at that. I'll show you what the problem is. So if I drill a hole in just like a shelf or something like that that I can fix in there, let's just try that. Now that is the exact size. But if you put your thing through it, it's a bit like the chisels where it's a bit handle heavy, and therefore over time those holes are going to wear, and it's not going to be that easy to get the things to stay upright because there's too much weight in the top half. I've put a hole through that's exactly the right size through a piece of timber like that. That stops that happening, but it's an absolute nightmare to get them in and out. So I'm going to need a hole that is a clearance fit rather than an interference fit, if you like. But the minute I do that I get back to the same problems, that the handles being handle heavy are going to be wobbling all over the place. So what I think I'm going to do is to counterbore the hole about halfway down with this size, the larger size, and then that way they'll not only sink in but they'll get a bit more weight lower down. And what I'll probably do is use a block of timber like that more and go in endways with them and do that. So I'll just find a suitable bit of wood that isn't quite as hefty as that. It wants to be something more like that, I think, and then, as I say, by the time I get a large hole that can be sloppy but it's right down low like that, it should be able to stop it wobbling about, enable me to find them when I want them. I can mount it on the rack, and that should do me the job. So I decided to use the bit I'd originally shown you, although it's got a hole in it, because that can go on the back. I mean, this isn't anything that's got to be pretty, it's functional. But if that has a pair of screws in the back now, that will fit and slot into the wall. So really I just need to space that out with room for 5 punches. So 120 long. So if we put them every 20 mil, I think, will that work out? 1, 10, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that will give us one every 20 mil. And we'll go roughly in the middle. And say none of it's that critical. That gives me the holes to drill, and I'll start off just putting the smallest one I need right the way through all of them. That'll be able to line them up then and do all the holes and counter bores once I've got the actual spacing sorted. That's it. Right, that's got that done. They all drop into there now. So all I need to do now is get some sort of finish on it. I'm just going to oil it, I think, and put a couple of screws at the right spacings on the back, and that should then just drop on the wall in the garage. I'm just going to put a couple of panhead screws into the back of this now, so that it should latch into the holes that are in the pegboard. And if I've got the measurements roughly right, it's about a 45mm grid, so I've put 2 of them in at 90mm apart. Left a little bit of room for the metal underneath. I can tighten that up if I need to. So all that remains now is to pop into the garage and see if it works. So there we are, quick, cheap and cheerful build, but as I mentioned a couple of times, it opens the way for doing other sorts of things. It's a fairly simple solution just to use these panhead screws on a block of wood, and as long as you get the dimensions about right, it gives you a good fixing. So I hope it was of interest. Look forward to seeing you next time. We'll try and do something different. See you then. Bye.